Hello, I'm Leah Gillis, astrologer and journalist. Thank you for being here for the inaugural episode. That's right, of the astrology sessions. I'm an astrology coach. And basically, what that means is I believe astrology is to help us make our lives better. And in doing so, make the world around us better. How we do that depends on our chart and where we have things, and that's where coaching comes along. Because if we don't have the information to put it together, what good is that? It's no good. And with so much happening, listen, all the time, but particularly in 2025, this information is needed for everybody. My goal in these will be to tell you information. I have Instagram and TikTok every day where I also post little bits of info, and my website where I do longer form articles and more in-depth information, as well as some culture and travel because I'm comme ça. But the idea is every week for me to share some big things coming up for you to know about so that you can use it. That's the whole point. Now listen, a little bit about me, because sometimes even I find myself amazed at how much I listen to, rely on, pay attention to, and talk about astrology, because I come from a very cerebral background. Come from sort of like academic, went to top schools, was around the smartest people. I'm a journalist. I worked at NBC Network News in New York. I covered major things like September 11th, the Bush Gore recount, lots of murders. And why I became a journalist was to make the world better. Why I quit NBC News was because that wasn't happening. I wasn't helping, and I saw the machine, and it was a machine, and it was just kind of keeping everything going. And I'm not really good at being a part of that. Later, when I knew about my chart, it all made sense. But at the time, who leaves a top job? Who leaves their dream life? Who leaves a series of really great guys that just weren't the great guys for me? It didn't make sense. And years later, in sort of my life's journey of studying Kabbalah and astrology, it does make sense. Eventually, it does line up. And for me, I want people to know this information and have access to it so that they can use it as they see fit. Because in our world, whether it's spirituality or religion or science, which is another form of a belief system, they all have use, obviously, they're all important, and there are through lines. And the through lines of all of our learning is nature, of which we're a part of. I don't understand why the moon and the stars affect us. I don't get it. I just know they do. I would love for us to spend more money on learning about this, right? Let's figure out more why Venus has to do with certain aspects of our life, like love and beauty and money. Why does the moon affect our emotions as well as our physical bodies with women's cycles? There's much more for us to know, and pretending it doesn't exist has clearly not worked. And with this new era, it is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. We now have Pluto in Aquarius. We are going to have Uranus in Gemini this year. We have all these things happening, which is going towards learning, which is going towards passion and self-esteem and courage. And we love that. However, there's always aspects that we have to watch out for, because we don't want to steamroll over people. We don't want domination anymore, the rise of the divine feminine. And this is where astrology and understanding it comes in. So that is how I'm here with you today. And I'm going to talk about things. I'm going to try to keep these episodes short so that you can play them as you're doing other things. But basically, drop in the comments what you want to know about, what you're concerned about, your astrology questions you have, and I'll answer them. I'll take some time every episode to talk about those aspects, because I want it to be a show where it's helping you guys. So here I go. The main thing to know, you guys, what I've been telling all my friends and in every reading I do, because yes, you can book me for a reading on my website, is this year is astrology that has not been seen in thousands of years. We have so much planetary action and change at the same time. And that's revolutionary on its own, let alone the planets involved are revolutionary. So earlier this year, for example, we kicked it off with Pluto going into Aquarius. We love this. It's all about the people, it's all about unity, it's about technology and advancements, things that serve everyone and not just the few. Because we learned that lesson from Pluto in Capricorn, right? Doesn't work. Doesn't work. That's why things are falling apart. Because it wasn't well built. And that's what Pluto does. It allows us to build solidly, long lasting. Because if things are not from the beginning a good idea, they won't last. America just had its Pluto return, meaning over the 248 years of Pluto, the movement, the US has come back to the same point. As we're seeing, things that weren't well built, like, a country of just white dudes, had some flaws, slave owners. So it's time that we fix that. This is also what brings me back to astrology, because when we see what is happening in our world on the, maximum with everybody and also in our private lives, we see these shifts playing out. That's why, to me, it blows my mind, because it lines up. So right now, the key takeaway, especially for this next week, because we are in the first month of the zodiac year, Aries, there is enthusiasm, there is fire. It's about entrepreneurship and ideas, and get out there and do that thing. It's courage, it's strength, it's also love. Huge heart, huge passion, a lot of fun, things we love. Could be a little me, right? Not you, of course, but it could be a little me. And so in this month, we want to be thinking about and being about, what do we want to birth in this next year? What do we want to create? What do we want to do? That is the vibe. The year started out, January, February, I'm talking about, with a lot of planets retrograde. Mars, we just came out of a Mercury retrograde and a Venus retrograde, and they were all in water signs. There was a lot of water signs, and we have had a lot of water in the chart. All that emotion and feeling and heart and connection is what we need to bring forth in this next period. Because the reason we go through these cycles is to have awareness, is to learn things, is to change. When we have so much happening in one area, the universe is like, yeah, over here, I need your focus. And it's been on our feelings. With so much in Pisces, and we still have Venus in Pisces, we have the North Node in Pisces, the mood is mercy, unconditional love, forgiveness, healing, empathy. See how these are real easy things? Because it's a deep well of emotion. It's the last sign of the zodiac. It's where all of the information and all of the experiences are gathered. It's collective consciousness. It's a lot. It's also creativity. It's huge heart. And it's the kind of heart that, greats like JC, Jesus Christ, and others embody. That is what we're being asked to do. No big deal. But we're being asked, with all that emphasis on heart, to take that and be about that in this next phase. Meaning, we're going to see a shift of a lot of the planets going from earth and water signs to fire and air. Now, we love that because it's going to be about ideas. It's going to be buzzy. Everybody's going to be like, oh, I've got this great idea. Let's do this. We love this. Listen, I'm 6 planets of Sagittarius. I'm all about the speed and let's get going. However, fire, air, it can be a little all over the place, right? It can be a little volatile. It can be definitely self-absorbed and not taking into account the heart of others, right? Others. Remember, we know this stuff, not just for ourselves, but to be about others. And so when we have a moment like we're having this year, which starts out with so much water emphasis, it is so clutch that we take that heart as we're birthing our new ideas, as we're going for what we want, as we're supporting others, we're supporting ourselves, we're creating teams, we're creating unity, we're getting behind things. Recently, last year in France, there were some elections that came about, you might have heard. And part of these elections showed the mass of people putting their self-interest aside for the greater good, meaning they didn't want to elect people that were hateful, that were not about inclusion and unity, and that had some real hateful beliefs. And the people came together to make that not happen. I was amazed and very impressed because these are people who, lifelong politicians, career people that have ambitions, and they put it aside. It's important that while we're going for our goals, we keep in mind everybody else and that we are all in the boat together. If somebody pokes holes in the boat, it's going to affect everybody. And right now we're really seeing that. And so as this year progresses and things are going to move very quickly, as happens with a lot of fire and a lot of air, make sure you're taking the time to feel yourself, to connect with your heart, to connect with what it is you really want. Not your community, not your family or your partner or your friends. What is it that you want? What is it you're here for? What do you want to experience and do? Because that matters. And you deserve that. And a whole part of understanding astrology and working with the transits, especially when we have things like Pluto and Aquarius, it's very much about the me and the ideas one has with the mind frame and the focus on everybody. So in this upcoming year, connect to your heart. And that can be really different things for different people. Some people love to journal. Some people love to do yoga, go for walks, take a class, do things that soothe you, but that also fulfill you and that make you smile and make you happy, because joy is your birthright. It's my birthright too. And we have to be about that, because as all the noise is going on, as it will do, as it always has, if we don't take the time to find and be about our own joy and our own pleasure, Lord knows others won't make it a priority. So that to me is the joy side and the fun side of so much fire and air. First of all, there's also a lot of learning, which again, I'm a lot of Sagittarius. Please, everybody get smarter. And also getting smarter is not just about book smart, right? It's about people smart. One of the transits coming up that is going to be shifting is Uranus is going to go into Gemini. And Uranus is the planet of surprises, of sudden happenings. And when it's in Gemini, which is a very cerebral, it's an air sign, it's about learning, it's about education, it's about knowledge. However, information doesn't make a person wise, right? It doesn't make a person heartfelt or caring, right? If you're too in your head, you can miss the point. It's also a transit that, matches up with some historical wars, like a lot of them. So we want to be alert. Pluto in Aquarius, people have already talked about how many wars have happened, but we have to remember, we don't have to repeat that. We can have war of ideas. We can talk about it and be about it. It doesn't have to go to the other place. And that is part of why having this conversation about the energies that are going to be around us is so important. Because if we want people to progress peacefully in our disagreements, whether it's with ourselves and our friends and our family, or between nations, we have to be about better ways and using our smarts, because war is not smart. And so a lot of the transits that are coming up are going to be potentially volatile and potentially times, but that's why we learn, right? That's why we look back at history and go, yeah, not so great, don't want to do that, hard pass, and we make another call. The way that astrology works is if you in your life do this with the people around you. So for example, I'm sure you're right and you know a better way to do something, whether at work, whether at your house, with family, with your community groups. But if you're doing it in a way that creates war, is it really the better? Is it really what we need? Is there a way you can work on how you translate your ideas? Because Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini are pointing to big brains and smarts that likely have a great idea. They also can be challenged and lack heart smarts. That can be something that takes a little effort. And so, while of course they're loving, amazing people, the connect to the heart in how they relay their big genius ideas can be lacking. And so when it's affecting all of us, that means we all can take that on. So whenever I talk about a sign, obviously if you have it in your big three or you have that in your chart, it's meaningful. But remember, whenever things happen, they affect us all. In the month of Aries, we all become a little more self-absorbed. We all become a little more me, me, me. And so as we're transitioning now from Aries and we're going to go to Taurus, which is very much about building, earth sign, it can be about comfort, but we know that comfort kills. So we know that in the month of Taurus, it's important to go out of our comfort zone. We take the Aries courage and the Aries going for it, and that's what we're going to be about. So remember going forward this year, because the heart is where it's all at. The most important for the next 18 months, it's a long-ish transit, but it's a personal one that we have. The North Node is in Pisces. And the North Node is basically like, yo, this is what I want you guys to really be about. All the best sides. Obviously not the other side. Want you to be about the good sides. How can we be about the good side? Loving, empathy, mercy, kindness. We don't get peace and a better world with just staying around the people that we like. And we don't get a better world knowing that we're smarter than and better than others. It's not the vibe. What we all need to embody in this era is the Pisces creativity, is the Pisces heart, and the Pisces extension towards the other to understand them and be about them and help support. Again, we don't get the world we love if we just support the people we like, right? Love is built going through the hard times, making commitments, and no one's saying you have to love that family member or be about them and invite them over to dinner. But ideally, we can get to a place where we realize something happened to that person to make them a douche nozzle. They didn't come out of the womb that way, likely. Something happened. And so even just engaging in that thought of, something happened to this person. And yes, maybe they're difficult now and possibly impossible and you don't want them around. How can you soften to be able to create a way to work with this person, to create a conversation, and ideally to build a bridge? Because that's the goal. This whole world of we're better than this, and I know that's just, c'est pas cool. C'est pas cool. It's not cool. It's not getting us anywhere. And so the astrology is telling us, guys, love, let some stuff go. Maybe, like they say, the best people that have been married for a long time, they're always like, yeah, it's good to be a little deaf. It's good to be a little like not paying attention to things. Sometimes let things slide. Where can we, for peace, for building a better world, and obviously not throwing ourselves under the bus or other people, not allowing fuckery, pas du tout, not at all. But where can we extend for others? To me, that is the through line of this year. That is the major thing I wanted to get across in this first reading, this first class. And the other is a heads up. Sunday, the sun is going to go into, over the weekend, it's going to go into Taurus. But on Monday, April 21st, we have one of the most powerful and important conjunctions of the year. That is the North Node and Saturn. And this North Node Saturn meetup, they're both in Pisces. It is a huge time for you to grow, for you to connect with what it is you want and to bring about massive, long-lasting change. Because the thing about Saturn gets a lot of bad raps. I mean, it's a thing. But when you learn the lesson, you are forever better changed. It brings blessings and things last. Father time, that chronos, that like, oof, feel every moment. When you build something solidly, it lasts. And so with the North Node, which is what we can become with our highest best selves in that transit, and Saturn, it's a powerful time. So definitely before the days, because the energy is building and we're already in it, but definitely on that day, take some time to connect again with Pisces, our feelings. And as Saturn links to business and what we're building, what is it you want to build? What is it you want to create in your life? Family, feelings, spirituality, health, work, money. These are all the things, your dreams. These are all what this is about. So if you don't know it, you can't build it, you can't create it. So take some time, definitely Monday, to connect to that. And I will see you on the next astrology coach session next week, Thursdays, Jupiter Day. Bisous.